Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything to make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed and now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Surprise. This week is Joseph's penultimate choice of Season 1, and quite the choice it was in The Passion of Joan of Arc. It was released originally on October 25th, 1928. It was co-written by Joseph Delteil and directed by the co-writer as well, Carl Theodore Dreyer. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And this is a fun one. This is a fun one because it is the oldest movie we've ever covered, and it is the only silent film we've ever covered.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a little insight. What drew you to The Passion of Joan of Arc?
Well, I guess a silent movie I've never even thought of watching, really, until Babylon. It was actually this project that I guess I kind of got here. Maybe the thought has occurred to me before of like wanting to watch a silent film, but I guess to think of it and actually appreciate it for kind of what it is, Babylon is really what started this fire. And so it was just one of those movies in the ending sequence as well of Babylon, and just kind of wanting to check away at that slowly. It seems that those movies are pretty good. I started off with the OG Tron and had a whole revelation there. So yeah, kind of my first silent movie as well. Just kind of wanted to do it. Kind of weird, maybe we envisioned having a whole silent film project in the day to like kind of start with silent films or something. It is kind of just boom, here we go. We're here.
We did have an idea like that at one point. I don't know if you recall when we were thinking about doing the sequel to the 52-year journey through film, and we were thinking about going all the way back to that. So we have, and we threw in some there. We have thrown in some there, but we're never going to execute on that project anytime soon. Anyway, maybe eventually, but we don't have any plans to do it. But yeah, we're finally, rectifying that. It's what could have been. We executed a little bit here. I love The Passion of Joan of Arc. I watched this for the first time last year. I can't remember what spurred it on. I just threw it on one day. I have the Criterion channel, so it's like it's a really nice streaming service that opens me up a little bit to like being like, oh, I'd never considered watching this before. Let's go ahead and check this out. And I threw it on over there, and that's kind of how it happened. And I adored it, man. I mean, it's beautiful photography, insane performance by Maria Falconetti, just an absolutely brilliant performance by Falconetti as Joan there. And the supporting roles there, the silent film acting is a lot different than the acting like it's a whole different game, and the expressionism and the over the topness, and this one's actually relatively toned down compared to a lot of silent films. It is pretty. They basically made a talkie in the form of a silent film. And even so, like, one of the interesting things is kind of unheard of for silent films was that nobody in this movie wears makeup. There's no makeup in this movie.
That's not normal.
It's not normal for any movie production. Movie productions usually
they're all
wear
dolled
makeup,
up and like
there's not a single person in this movie wearing makeup. There's a lot of stuff that not strictly groundbreaking, but just kind of interesting about the production of this movie. And the fact that we got such a great movie is kind of a miracle. I'm going to drop one of the craziest bombs of trivia for a movie of all time, especially the era and how difficult these sorts of things were, the original cut of this film was completely destroyed. And with no, like, it's because it was a reel of film.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Wait.
wasn't duplicated.
What did I watch?
You watched cuts that were not going to be in the original film.
No.
Yeah.
No. So there wasn't like a time where it was preserved and then destroyed. It was destroyed before everyone saw it.
Before anybody saw it. Yeah. It was destroyed before anybody saw it.
These are the outtakes?
These are the deleted scenes that they cut together to be outtakes more accurately. And it's still as good as it is, which is absolutely nutty. It's kind of a crazy what could have been to imagine what the original vision of the movie was.
Was it a talkie?
No, it was not.
I was
never
say, like,
conceptualized
was
as a
it? And then
talkie.
they were like, fuck.
No.
Shit.
Never was.
Okay.
No, but in fact, another interesting piece of trivia, Greta Garbo, a massive actress at the time, transitioning from the silent era to the talkie era, her first role that American studio heads wanted her to play was Joan of Arc, and they wanted to do a talkie adaptation of this, and they wanted Carl Theodore Dreyer to direct it. Like, just go ahead and run it back, buddy. You did a really good job on The Passion of Joan there. Let's go ahead and do a talkie in America.
Wow.
And he refused because he did not want to do an American studio production. That's something he didn't want to do. So, yeah, just like there's a really fascinating and rich history with this movie. It was considered lost media for a very long time until it was found. And like, it's really rich history. And you're afforded that at a 96-year-old film, you know?
Wow. That's nuts. Man, because I kind of had the thought while watching the whole time of like, this is a silent film set, kind of like on Babylon, and it could be like as crazy as you know, it can. I don't know. It could be chaotic. Like there were flies a lot of the time. That flew into shots.
Don't
and stuff
plan
like
on that. Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe that's just they were the outtakes, but they, I don't know. It seemed more. It felt
more real.
Yeah. Like I wonder if it worked for the movie. I wonder if it
like
kind
if it works
of
better.
It made it feel more real. Like it made it just. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't the perfect cut. It was raw, no makeup. Like that. That wasn't, I guess, normal. So it's like it's less raw there, or it's more raw there. It's just wow, huh?
Yeah, no. So like those shots where a fly does fly on Maria Falconetti's face, and she acts through it. You know, like she doesn't stop, like she'll swat at it, but she doesn't stop being in character or anything. Like I have to imagine that those were takes where they were like, well, ideally a fly doesn't fly on her face in this shot. You know, like that's and
there was
so
one that landed right on the dude's mole. I mean, perfectly. And I thought that was just hilarious. And I'm like, they have to keep that one in. But now it was probably no. It probably was none
of it was the original takes because they weren't
actually no. Like,
it's there is literally no original, like no original. It was destroyed.
Reel. Oh my god, that's
so. Wow. And there was no ability to reshoot because the production for this film was an absolute nightmare. It took it's an hour and 20-minute film. It took a year and a half to make.
What were they doing? They were in.
I have no fucking clue.
3 rooms, and then they went outside.
And the budget was like unreal for the time for the production design, which is hysterical because this movie is spent like 95% in close-up mode.
No. I wonder if the OG cut is like so much grander, and like because that would make sense because that's what they wanted to shoot and wanted to have in the original movie, and they only had one shot of it and no outtakes of the other. I mean, well, they probably have outtakes of the cool shit, you know? I mean,
ideally. No, and that's the other thing too, is that like all it does is create an atmosphere. You know, it doesn't like, because the production design is on display here. Every room they're in is very elegantly designed. It's built. It's not a place that exists. They designed this place. and the streets of France outside where she gets she gets burned at the stake. They built that.
Wow.
It's not like it's and that's why there's a lot of great shots of just like a plain white background, because they were just like, there's no buildings behind here because we didn't build them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that's what's kind of cool about this era of filmmaking, is that it's also raw and also it's also makeshift. It might have a great budget and it might be really, really expensive, but we exist in a time when you had to build these things with your hands. It was quite literally makeshift. It wasn't like,
there's no
we can digitize that. Yeah, exactly. Like we will. In fact, if they could have fixed it in post, we would have gotten the original fucking cut of this movie. You know, like, and that's what's insane.
Wow, it's the we got the leftovers. We got the crumbs. Like, and it still was this, man. I mean,
it's fantastic too. It's a brilliant film.
I wonder if it strengthened the movie, if the outtakes and it just played better for the story somehow, because it did feel, I don't know. I guess this is my first silent film. This is my first film of this age as well. I don't know what the norm is, but it felt not normal. It didn't feel like the norm. This felt very
No, and I mean, like, compared to the other silent films I have watched, it's not, but that's because the other silent films I've watched have been comedies, which, you know, you wouldn't go like, oh, Anchorman is nothing like The Notebook or whatever the fuck, you know, like, so it is just a different era, you know, but
like Anatomy of a Fall, you know, I'm just thinking of another like courtroom movie that actually where I'm like in a courtroom and I'm like, I want to know, like, keep it going, you know, I am very interested in what's going on. This is not boring. And usually, I don't know, a lot of law movies or courtroom movies are it's whatever. Like, they usually don't spend the whole movie in the courtroom. It's usually all right, we're going to recess and this is where all the character development happens. But most of it is, well, I guess they do, like, you know, often the other room or the torture chamber and stuff like that. But I feel like most of like it just feels so good every time she like kind of has a dunk or like a response that they're not expecting, you know, like they think they have the confession or the angle and they think they're about to win, but then she's just like, nope. Let me drop a bar on you real quick, and all that. Like, I love the reactions too. Sometimes they're just like, holy fuck, what? Like, wait, huh? And then sometimes it brings them to tears, actually. Like, I felt like there was one delivery that just a dude started crying. He was like, oh my God. Like, this like, I don't know. I felt like some of them, they knew that I don't know, like they knew that they were wrong, but kept going.
No, for sure. There's a whole side of this movie that's spent trying to manipulate Joan into a confession, pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah.
And the prospect, I appreciate what this movie puts forth about, you know, steadfastness and faith. You know, and the problems when faith and government overlap and how that never works. Joan of Arc is a patron saint of France now.
Wow.
And was recognized as a patron saint of France in the early 1920s.
Wow.
So, like,
damn. I mean, that's kind of, I guess that's how it happens, you know? Like, it just takes a person to do something so unhuman-like or have just such a story that is so grand. And I guess she is, you know, I don't know the full history still. I'm trying, you know, like, what was she accused of? Like, what is was it just hiding her, like, not, you know, hiding her identity and being a soldier?
No. So what's kind of fucked up, in the like, she's basically on trial for being a woman. Ultimately is kind of how I perceive it. She claims to be divine, like, not divine, but she is a chosen one. She has a purpose that was bestowed unto her by God, and she was vocal about that. And amidst the 100 Years' War, she was sent to the army, reinvigorated their forces. They pushed back, won a battle. They pushed forward at her command, essentially, when she was like 17, won another battle. And then they kept winning until a certain point. And when she started to lose, people lost faith. And that's when she got put on trial.
Damn. I had no idea. I had no clue.
And there's also the fact that the people accusing her here also don't observe King Charles as their king.
Yeah. I was also...
And that's the politics of the time I'm not entirely informed on. I don't know. So I don't know if she's literally being persecuted by the church. I don't think it's governing. I think it is just like the church is persecuting her for her essentially claiming
that
divinity.
She's divine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what heresy? I saw heresy somewhere, and maybe in the description. Is that just what heresy is?
She's a
going against the
apostate.
Church?
Yeah, yeah. Like she doesn't fall in line. Essentially, she does.
I guess
and then
that's what they want.
A
her
huge
to
part
admit.
of the movie is like, why the fuck are you wearing that?
Yeah. I guess that was what maybe part of the history that I didn't know of like why she's so steadfast in wearing men's clothes. Is it just like her refusal to accept the norm? Is that just kind of where
that's kind of how I
it
take it
bases
within the
from,
context
or...
of the movie. I do not know in real life what constituted that choice. And it seems like, like one of my favorite lines of the movie, I don't know, you might have taken it down as your favorite line last I saw.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was hard to pick a line, I guess, here. It's different. But this one felt like the most like foreshadowy and most kind of like, I don't know. It felt nice. But she said, when the mission God gave me is finished, I will wear women's clothes again. And I guess I had no idea that she would be burned at the stake at the end. I guess at the beginning of the movie it says that she dies. She was sentenced and died.
Yeah.
So like I knew she was gonna die. I didn't know how, but I guess I thought she was gonna be in a funeral, and just a casket and put in traditional women's clothes after she was dead. And so that's why I took it down immediately. Is I'm like, oh damn, like that's just she's recognizing her death like that, just that early. Like she knows it's coming, and she knows I don't know. She has, whether she is truly divine or not, it worked. I don't know. Like what her plan and everything she set out to do, like that. I guess
her martyrdom.
Yeah, she said that I know that all the Englishmen will be gone out of France soon. Or
are you saying that God hates the English?
Like,
no, I don't know.
He's like, actually, I don't know. All I do know is what was that? Like, yeah, I don't know anything of his hatred or dishatred for the English, but what I do know is something. I don't know. It was good. She had all of her answers were very good. And I love how she took like time. Like I love how sometimes she would like her eye like roll her eyes kind of in the back of her head almost, and kind of like well up in like all the emotion and kind of like just take in all the yelling sometimes that's happening at her, and then she just like spits out the line, like it's one line, and then it's like, and then everyone, like the tears are walloping up, and it's everyone like they know too. They know it's like she's about to do it again. She's about to do it again.
Damn, she's cold.
Yeah.
Man, she's good at this shit. Yeah, no, I
talk about a 20v1.
Yeah,
this
for real.
The
and a
OG.
20v1, it's a 1v20 if I gotta smack. Is that right with you? Yeah, like that's what she's on. But she I love the way she wins people over, and obviously there was already a lot of people on her side. That's clear from the beginning, is that some people think that this trial is heresy itself. Like that in and of itself is a betrayal of God, because they believe in Joan. They believe that she is God's chosen one. Why would we go against her? That in and of itself is heresy. So some already believe that, but there are those who you can tell she slowly wins to her side. And one of the ones is like kind of he almost seemed like an errand boy. He just kind of like, he like tended to her needs and stuff.
Yeah.
And whenever like, you know, and you know, he was like, you'll die, you know, and you know, what for? And you know, what's the great victory? And she goes, my martyrdom. And he goes, and your freedom? Death. And I was like, that's a fucking bar.
That's probably,
like,
is that your line?
No,
man, that might actually be.
But
the line.
no, that's
Damn.
hard as fuck though. That was one that I initially thought about, but I ended up going with one that I felt kind of encapsulated the philosophy of this movie, which was how do you know a good angel from a bad angel? When they are it's one of the questions they ask her, because she says she saw one of the saints. I can't remember which one. And they're like, no, you saw the devil, you know, like he disguised himself as this, and that's what you saw, you know. And it's like, well, how the fuck could you possibly know that?
Dang.
But
it's kind of
so like
her case though.
Yes. How can you tell a good angel from a bad angel? And that's the good and evil, the side that's right, the side that's wrong, and just kind of like all throughout because and again, it all resigns in faith, you know. What makes Joan the hero of this movie is that she is the underdog, that she is steadfast in her faith and dies for God, you know. At least in her eyes, she dies for God. There's almost certainly a side of this movie that could be perceived as like if you find someone who's staunchly religious and is like you know, that might align themselves with the idea that she is committing an act of heresy, you know, like what makes her more important than anybody else, et cetera, you know. So like that's what's interesting, is that when it comes to the literal intricacies of faith, there is sides to be taken, and I think that's interesting. But I love that the movie is obviously staunchly and 100% behind Joan.
Did she claim her divinity like while she was like before, like on these victories and having all these victories, or was it like at a certain point then she was like, now
that's why she was sent to the front lines, was because she proclaimed divinity. It wasn't because
just until they started, when she started losing, or this, you know,
they were like, maybe she was fucking lying, you know, like
okay,
and
wow.
that's kind of how it went.
Yeah,
but,
it's kind of tough to put anything really on her then, because like she shouldn't even really be on trial in the first place. Like that's the reason.
But that's
that
the
they
other
sent her
thing,
out
is
there
that
in the first
King
place.
Charles sent her out there.
It
was King Charles who decided. That's why, like, whenever the dude who's trying to manipulate her the whole movie's like, bring me a letter with King Charles's signature.
That's true.
You know, like, it's what motivates her to get a little bit more open and open up a little bit. It's because they know she listens to King Charles more than she listens to the church. And I think that's another angle here, is that
I
she
guess, aren't kings divine though? Like that's like, or seen as they have, you know, the divine bloodline, I don't know, or something like the divine right to rule or something like that. They're not divine in their own creature like themselves, but they have.
I think that's kind of been the general idea of monarchy. I couldn't tell you specifically about the monarchy of France at this time, though, because if that was the case, the church probably would have fucked with King Charles.
Yeah.
You know, like that's... But the other thing is that the church is also English occupied, you know, for the most part. A lot of the soldiers we see are English. That's why that they're trying to free France, essentially. It's... So not only is it a battle between church and state, it's country versus country, and she's representing France while the church is kind of representing England. And King Charles might align himself with whatever specific sect of religion Joan, because we got to remember that in the 1400s it wasn't so, hey, we're all Christian. You know, it was like, well, Catholics and Protestants fucking hate each other. You know, like, and there were all sorts of, you know, like there were all sorts of intricacies that meant like, oh, well, you believe in God, but you believe in God the wrong fucking way. You know, like
it wasn't just a heated battle on Facebook. It was like, well, we'll start a war.
We'll go to war for
your entire
shit,
village and stuff. Yeah, so
so like there is a lot more intricacies here, and all that to say that there is more history behind this movie, that you can glean a lot more from the movie if you are more well learned in it. I feel like, because not to mention that silent films are also relatively difficult to follow. You know, like it's a lot of comprehension, a lot of reading comprehension. You know, like you're not literally listening to someone say these things. You are basically reading. With reading a picture book, essentially.
Just given the emotion, you know, from the just they give you the emotion, which is okay. That's what these words mean. You know, that's what's behind the words.
And I love the editing in silent films too. Like they start speaking, they cut to what they're saying, and they cut back and they're finishing speaking. I always like that. And the editing at several sequences in this movie is fucking incredible. Like the editing and the score and the performance from Falconetti in one scene is what gave it my favorite scene, and it's when they're trying to coerce her confession with the torture wheel, and the music's flaring, and she's getting scared, and the wheel's turning faster and faster, and they keep cutting back between all three of these things, and it's like, oh, dude, it was fucking riveting.
They tortured her. You know, I love how they're just like, well, we're not going to show it, but it's heavily implied, you know. It's like or is it just like she just passed out from?
I think she passed out from the
simply
fear,
from that. You think that's all it was, or like because I
she's
didn't
also
know.
sick.
I didn't know.
They also make a point to say she's quite sickly. She's not doing well.
That's what. Yeah, I was wondering if it was like Like That's why I didn't know if like she was tortured in real life. And this was just a way of the movie acknowledging it and then moving on, like in simplicity.
Probably. I hate to like assume like that, but yeah, probably.
And that's why I think they bring it up. That's why I think they show the torture chamber and all this stuff. I don't think it's just to scare her. It's like they use this, you know, that this is there is a torture chamber in a courthouse or a church. So yeah, that what you know why is it even there in the first place? So I think. I just assumed that she was tortured in real life. And then I didn't know of like, because was she sick before? Because it seemed that it was after the torture that they were like, well, she's really not doing well. She has to be bled. Like, we have to get rid of this fever. And what a way to do that, you know? Like,
yeah, that's how they used to do that.
Whoa. I mean, and it didn't really hit me. You know, at first I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, are they giving her an IV? I'm like, is that really... Okay, I'm like, what are they doing? And then I'm like, oh, just get rid of the bad shit, and then they will just make new good blood. I'm like, okay,
yeah. I was unfamiliar with this practice too until I watched Shogun. They do the same thing in Shogun.
Wow.
But
does that really work? But like, is it ideal?
Oh, does that really work?
Like,
I thought you were gonna ask me if they really did it.
No, I feel like it probably really was done. I'm assuming it feels real, but like, is it ideal? You know, like it makes sense. Like if you have bad blood in you, get it out.
The bad blood out.
You know, but like, how do you know it's all just right in your arm? Like, is that?
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Feels like I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's that simple. But like,
but yeah, no, that's part of the trivia too. Is that they did this to somebody. This was like something they had to do on set. That was done to a person. They stuck a knife in their arm.
I mean, it
like
looked
you're watching someone bleed during that.
I mean, I was gonna I don't know how they go around.
They show you the person's arm.
Yeah,
because
it looked a little bruised before. Like it was like, this is the outtake. Oh my god, this is not the first time that they did it.
Yeah, probably not the same. Not to the same person.
Know.
I
it
imagine
was bruised. That specific.
It was
vein
bruised, but it was like a
into...
knife.
Dude, yeah, that thing was like, not a needle.
That's why I'm like, it wouldn't, like, they'd had to have, I mean, like, it did take a year and a half to film, you know? Maybe they were like, we'll get back to that whenever you get healed up.
Oh my god.
Get ready to get bled again in 3 months.
Oh my
But it wasn't Joan. They did do it to somebody else's arm. It wasn't Maria Falconetti. It was some stunt double, if you will. No, like, regardless, it sucks. Yeah, like, regardless, it's like... Yeah, you know, Shogun has ways to do it differently modernly. But at the time, they were like, well, we want it to be authentic. Who's willing to get bled?
Damn. I mean, that could be a stunt I'd be down for, you know? I'm not...
Yeah, you'd get bled?
I'm not, like... in a crazy crash or at risk of death or that's just something that like it'll suck for the time, but like I've got enough IVs in my life where that probably would that be. I mean, I wouldn't say it'd be nothing. I would feel that would hurt definitely. That's not a little needle, but yeah, that'd be a stunt I could get behind. But
it's like, yeah, go ahead, bleed me.
fuck it. I mean,
I'm the blood bag. You're
wow, that's crazy. I mean, I've never even thought of that as a thing before.
Yeah, no, that's something they apparently did back like. Yeah, no. And like what's fucked up is that we're getting so stupid as a society again for some reason. I saw this like the other day that there's some sort of new medical trend about like relieving head pain by pricking a hole in your forehead and just like bleeding. And like the community note on it was like, yeah, this isn't proven yet. You know, like don't do
that.
This.
Yeah.
Well, and it was like in a, you know, it was obviously not a doctor's office, but you know, somebody who's like practicing medicine, man, you know, like that sort of thing. So so we're devolving like overwhelmingly so. But
wow, hey, you never know. Maybe in 500 years,
Tylenol's fucking fine, guys.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe in 500 years, we're all bleeding from the forehead every morning.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
got to get some acetaminophen. I don't know.
No, just how do you even start that process? You know, how do you?
Watched it. It was ugly. I don't even really want to describe it.
Oh my god, is it not just like a little diabetes finger poker thing, or like it? Like
it is mostly like that. I mean, like it's not a big hole, but it just sprays out of there.
Do you walk around all day with just like a?
No, you take your time. You sit over a bowl, you know, and you let it all pour out.
No,
and
but I mean, like, isn't there a noticeable mark that will be left all day, like a scab just on your forehead?
I think you got to get it bandaged. You know, like you'll have a bandage on your forehead for most of the day. You know,
why the forehead? I mean. Wow, I guess to headaches.
I mean, it's head pain. Wow. Yeah, it's not like they're not doing it for other shit. It's for headaches.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, I don't even believe in it in the first place. But I'd be like, can we just do like the back of my head? Can we like where like not my forehead? I don't know.
They're like, no, your brain stem's back there, and this isn't proven by science yet. So,
wow, but no, they really did that here. I guess they.
They really carved into somebody's arm and let him bleed. And it's like knowing that it's a little graphic. Yeah,
just stick a bowl there. I mean, they didn't even have the bowl ready. I mean, they let him. It was just
no. They were like, oh shit. Yeah, you know, like
at first I'm like, are they just gonna like what? I'm like, hold on,
let her bleed.
Yeah,
I guess.
I was like, crazy.
But
it there.
Made for a really good shot. The darkness and richness of the blood and dripping onto the floor and stuff was very, very good.
Did look cool.
It looked good.
Yeah.
It looked good.
Yeah.
As
an outtake. Incredible. Outtake.
Yeah. Who knows what the first one looked good? How good the first one looked? You know.
I feel like I'm gonna keep coming back to that.
And there's also the idea that like maybe this wasn't a part of the original cut of the movie, but they had this as it was something that was rejected, and they were like, fuck it. I'd be kind of pissed if I was the person who got bled and then it got cut from the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe that person was originally pissed and they were the one who destroyed the film. They were like, damn, I bled for this movie and it's not even going to be in there. Fuck it. Fuck this movie. I'm destroying it. Boom. Now they're in there. They got their 15 seconds of fame, their arm, and their blood.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of
blood's
gnarly.
Permanently on film. And that's what's interesting, too, is I say permanently, but this film was lost for a long time. The film was considered lost for many years, but in 1978, an almost complete print was found in the estate of an Italian priest who had organized screenings in mental hospitals.
What? So even the scraps, even the leftover film that we got was
considered lost at one point, yeah.
Oh my God! What is it? Is this movie too dangerous? Is this like they don't?
Well, that's the thing is that's not uncommon for silent film. There's a ton of lost media, like silent film. A lot of stuff got like destroyed by studios. Like that's.
I guess that's why like the Criterion collection.
That's why stuff like that's important.
It's like,
yeah,
they Wow. Yeah, and I mean, it was really cool to see it open up with that and be like, "Damn, it's that
Mm.
old." Like it is. They've been doing it for that long. That's really, I don't know. For some reason I thought it was just like, well, a company that started in like the 80s or 90s or something, but
It
then
is. That's
backlogged.
they refurbished it. They restored it. It was like it's old film. They had to digitize it and all that. So like it is a relatively modern company.
But then, I mean, didn't it? Oh, Oh, so that was just a Max thing. That wasn't this movie. Like this movie wasn't actually
No.
like made or produced
No,
by
no,
the
no, no, no,
Criterion.
no, no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
It was founded in the 80s. That was a good read by you. But
Wow,
yeah, no, it was like it was refurbished and restored by Criterion and Janus Films.
I
And
see. Okay,
redistributed via them.
I
It was
wondered.
it's an early edition in the Criterion collection. They're like well into the thousands now, and this was like number 62 or something like that.
Oh wow.
Pretty
Oh
early.
dang, that's probably high praise to be like one of the first.
One of the
Like
first,
to
yeah.
be in the first movies. That's pretty cool. But I wondered. I did see kind of some like facial glitches almost. Like I'm like I know there's not VFX here, but like they're kind of like a warp or kind of like
There's a decent chance that there is. Like
yeah, there
it did
was.
have to be digitized. You know, you were watching it on a TV. It's not
Oh,
like
I guess
you
true.
got an original print that was
Mm,
projected onto something for you. You know,
okay,
so
so
like
there might have been some little digital doohickey going on.
yeah, and like they do their best to maintain it as best as they can. But if stuff is
Because I thought
beyond
if
repair, they might.
maybe on the film and when they're splicing it together, if like two shots just didn't really line up fully because it was an
It's also
outtake, and
possible.
then maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's just maybe that was it because I didn't know that this was an outtake to begin with.
Hmm.
I kind of saw those things and I'm like, huh, I wonder if that's my TV. I wonder if that's a HBO
No, it was
thing.
this movie. It was the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, and yeah, no, it's pretty
I don't know.
universally
Yeah, it
well liked.
barely happened though. The things. I think like maybe twice or like maybe three times throughout the whole movie did I notice like a little thing. But man, I would have never guessed that this was a like the outtakes, that this was the like leftovers of the final film. That's crazy. Like cuz it does look so good. Like in man, I don't know how many times Joan was just crying, and how I it never got old. It never got old just to see a tear fall down her face.
Mm.
And man, it made like I would tear up with her commonly, but then man, like once it got to the end and like I don't know, I was like I was crying pretty good.
Yeah, no.
At the
Well,
end
because
like
there's
her.
also a revolutionary spirit to it, you know? Like you do have the people rising up in the streets but it's also not going well, you know? Like it is like her
Mm-mm.
martyrdom did succeed, but it leads to
Oh,
catastrophe in the streets. It gets
man.
bad, you know?
Yeah. I mean, whenever like I was already going. Like my shot is whenever they give her communion for the last time. She eats the communion bread and then she opens her eyes and just like smiles at the sky. Like she just
Mm,
her eyes are on nothing but like the sky and she's
but
just like
God.
and
Yeah.
she is smiling. And I'm like, "Oh my God, that was just it was just a
Yeah, mine
beautiful
came
shot."
from that scene too. Right after they give her the bread. There's a cross in the background, and
Mm.
she's like in the bottom corner of the screen, and she's praying, and it's just a
Mm.
really really good,
Oh.
satisfying shot. There's a lot of beautiful visuals in this movie, though. One of my favorites also was the skull that she sees that has
Ah.
maggots crawling through it when they're
Mhm.
digging up the pit.
Yeah.
And it flies out and lands, and then you see the
Yeah.
maggots crawling in its eye and stuff. Like that was really good looking.
Kind of
I mean,
a weird, not at all connected. I don't know, like a La Chimera. I don't know. We're just fresh off that, its
mm,
last movie, but kind of like she had this kind of vision or kind of she went kind of somewhere else sometimes. It kind of
mm,
felt like and seeing things, and it would cut to the
and we
birds
did.
flying in the sky,
Yeah.
La Chimera.
No,
I feel like literally,
I had the same thought.
actually,
Yeah, no, and we discussed it during La Chimera that what he might be experiencing is a connection to the underworld, a connection to the beyond. But I even said specifically that some people call that feeling God.
Yeah.
And there's a distinct possibility that that's what Joan is experiencing in those moments, that she is feeling God, that she is experiencing her faith on the to the full tilt, and yeah, it's a beautiful movie, man. Absolutely gorgeous. And it is really simple. I love that it's, they open the movie telling you that it's based off the minutes of the trial itself.
Yeah.
Very intricately taken. Got to imagine that a lot of the screenplay is pretty faithfully 1-to-1.
Damn, if these were the actual words spoken, it, like, at least in court, probably. Like, I mean, it makes sense, and if such a legendary character, or not a character, person, this is a real person. That's crazy. I don't know. It is legendary. I mean, she's a saint now. That is, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's, man. I mean, her execution. I hate picking like the end of a movie as my favorite scene, but oh man, I don't know. It was just
the end was just so good,
so well done. I'm already like kind of a mess whenever she's like accepting her fate and everything. But then when it shows the crowd and the other people starting to cry, I was like, oh my god. I'm like, fuck. Before it got bad, and then they just all started dying. Like, it was just
Vive la France! Yeah, no, that shit was
like
beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful, and devastating. No, it's a brilliant movie, man, and I found myself extremely, extremely moved in both viewings I've had of it now, and yeah, no, just a fantastic fucking movie with so much that is so thoroughly well done. And the fact that it is kind of a miracle that we even have it, A, in the first place, as the master print was destroyed, and this is all outtakes, and then B, it being considered lost media for a super long time and getting found in the 70s. And then, not only that, but then eventually being restored and digitized for us to be able to watch it modernly. It is kind of a miracle to think about how movies last like that, and It's a damn shame that stuff gets lost, that there were reels and reels and reels of film that studios burnt, essentially.
Man,
just burnt nuts to the ground.
Yeah, I'm just born with the internet and everything like that, so it's so easy to like keep a thing, even if there's one copy of it. I don't know. Once it's on the internet, it is there kind of forever. And so, but to think of a time where one film reel, like if just dropped, I don't know, if while it's being transported somewhere, if it's just dropped and I don't know in what situation it takes to destroy a film reel, but like in a puddle outside with like some water, just destroy a film reel. I don't know. It feels like it could ruin parts of it, and that's just crazy that like part of a movie could be lost forever off by just some little accident. But
yep.
And we got that. We got that movie. And it's still 60 what on the Criterion like list? That's
62.
Yeah, they're like, we need this one preserved. I mean, man, maybe they did it because of the shaky past of it. They're like,
no, yeah, and that's what's devastating is Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation estimates 90% of movies made before 1929 are lost.
90%?
90%. 1894 to 1930. And the Library of Congress estimates that 75% are lost forever.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, so, the largest cause of silent film loss was intentional destruction. Before the eras of home cinema and television and home video, films were considered to have little future value after their theatrical run, because nobody could watch them at home.
Oh, so it wasn't even like politically because they wanted to destroy them.
No.
It was just, get rid of the film. Like, it's just taking up room. Like,
yep.
Wow.
Silent films were perceived as worthless after the end of the silent era. Most of the early films did not survive because of wholesale junking by the studios. There was no thought of ever saving these films. They simply needed vault space, and the materials were expensive to house.
I guess it's
So
like
studios,
VHS tapes, whenever they became kind of obsolete, everyone's like, all right, well, just throw them away, or just whatever.
now they're all fucking collector's items.
Wow.
If you have good VHS tapes of certain things, they're like so expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like if you have original copies of like the original trilogy of Star Wars, those are like, those are good.
Oh, I think I might have them in my in my playroom closet right now.
Like original VHS tapes?
Maybe. Oh, 76. You mean,
Yeah, I'm talking like
I don't know about that.
the OGs.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe it was probably a box
but yeah,
set
like
bought
even
later
beyond
on,
that, like
but...
cat, like 90s, 80s, Disney animated films and stuff. If those still exist and are in good condition, they get really expensive. Like it's like all these sorts of like just the evolution of technology and the way things go. So like it's just so devastating to think about the amount of movies that did exist and will never see the light of day because they were legitimately burnt.
Dang. That's nuts. And this one, it's not, I guess, like that. But it was almost not made. It almost, almost we didn't get it, and luckily we did. Like it's crazy to think that a movie like this is not every movie's probably as good as this one, but like there's these in there.
There are, and they are gone forever. Like that's.
Oh, man. I mean,
and we're re-entering again to go back to devolving. Can you watch Willow anywhere right now?
Damn.
Yeah,
thank God.
We obviously have the internet, so you can torrenting and pirate shit.
It's
but
sad.
like
it's a sad, thankful. I'm sad. Thankful for
but like
it.
That's real shit though. Like, and it's a severe problem with streaming is that they don't make physical copies, and they instead of it taking up literal physical space, it's taking up budget cuts. They need to pay royalties to the actors, and it can be a tax cut if they get rid of it, and it's bullshit. The Batgirl film from Warner Brothers got completely made, never released anywhere. Like that's not even one you can torrent. That's just nuts. Lost media. The Looney Tunes, the most recent Looney Tunes movie, Coyote versus Acme or whatever, lost media. You are never going to be able to watch it, and it's finished. And like that, we're back. Like we're back here. It's been 100 years, and I'm sure this has been a problem previously, but like in between those times. But like, god damn, is that disappointing?
Yeah.
That's why companies like Janus Films and the Criterion Collection and all that stuff are so important. Is the film preservationist. That's why physical media is important. Preserving film at all costs.
Damn. Yeah, that's. I don't know. I had no idea that there was even that behind this movie. But it makes me love it even more. And I mean, it was. I already liked. I mean, we're going through quite the stretch of good movies.
Yeah, we're on a good run. The run we're on is strong.
I've been very happy, very very pleased with movies, and I don't know. I feel like I want some worse movies so that I'm not only logging 5s on Letterboxd every single time. But it's not a bad problem to have, That's
no, it's not. It's not. But it is. You need to know how good these movies are. You need to remind yourself how good these movies are by sliding a shitter in there every once in a while. Like
yeah, like
and it's important.
I guess I'm probably gonna watch Blue Angels here soon, and it's probably not gonna be like shit. But it'll be a nice palate cleanser.
It's a documentary, it's a little different.
That'll be nice. But I need to find something that is just shit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's the thing is that we are watching, like most of the movies you're watching right now are stuff we're going to cover, and I'm not going to willingly be like, hey, we're going to cover shit.
Well, who knows? Maybe you make a last minute switch and you change your movie to just an Morbius, fuck it.
Might I recommend?
You've never seen it.
If you want a shit palate cleanser that is still super fun and I think an enjoyable movie, but don't get me wrong, is really fucking bad, is Barb Wire, starring Pamela Anderson. Terrible fucking film. Okay. Terrible fucking film. Hypersexualized to no end, but super enjoyable. So fucking
Tamara
bad.
Morrison. Okay.
Tamara Morrison is in it. Yes, and he's actually quite good in it.
What was the Eggman? The weird. What was that? What am I not supposed? Or I'm not even supposed to Google it. I'm just supposed to watch.
Oh, Dirt Man.
Dirt Man. Was that it? Was that Dirt? Or,
yeah, that's a song. It's a song.
No, it was in your. I think it was in your top 10 action movies, maybe, and it was.
Oh, that's so funny that I said Dirt Man. Old Boy.
Old Boy. Old Boy.
Old Boy is actually really fucking good though. So like,
so it's not a shitter.
Okay. No, it's fucked up,
Mm-hmm.
and you might need the palate cleanser after Old Boy. In fact,
Okay.
Old Boy is like really, really good. It's just super fucked
Wow.
up. Like
I had the thought of using my last movie to choose Morbius, and that is it is technically a movie that you have never seen, but I don't even want to do that to myself. Is the thing,
right.
you know? Like,
and now that we scrapped the comic book movie project, I'm never gonna watch that fucking movie.
No.
That was the only reason I was ever gonna watch it.
No, I need to have it shared with someone. You know,
infinite seasons, 80 seasons of Cinema Surprise, Morty. You know,
I'll
maybe
choose
at
it
one
of these goddamn days. But
one
it won't
of these
be soon.
days.
It won't be soon. No way. It's for the
No.
last one. Of, no way.
Season 1.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
It's gonna be a while. But
you know, maybe eventually in the Sentimentalists we cover like the Sony Spider-Verse movies, you know, or something like that.
Sony shitters.
Yeah, the Sony shitter series. That'd be fun.
Craven?
Actually,
Is
it's
that
actually
out?
kind of a nope. That's the end of this year. It actually got pushed back because Sony's completely fucking delusional,
Sony
and for
shitters
some
could
reason thinks that people will repeatedly come back for it during the holidays.
Craven?
Legit statement from Sony. Yes. They're fucking delusional. But you know, that's why studios are the fucking worst. They don't get it at all.
Wow.
But yeah, Passion of Joan of Arc. I feel like we've kind of done it the justice we're going to give it. And if you are ready, I can do the plugs, and then I can announce next week's Cinema Surprise, and we can do an album of the week. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm. I'm ready. I am.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right, so stick around through the plugs. Like I said, I'm going to announce my penultimate Cinema Surprise, my 5th. It'll be our 10th episode in the series so far, and we'll only have 2 left for season 1. And we have more surprises to come. Another season going to come out eventually, and we have more to announce. So, but that won't be at the end of this episode. All that will be at the end of this episode is my Cinema Surprise for next week, and then we're also going to do an album of the week. So, with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and early access content. You can also get access to the Penny Bloom Dispatch. That is a more timely, segment-based show that we're having a lot of fun doing. It's every Monday on Patreon, and you can get that for free on Patreon. All the other stuff will be $1.50 a month, but you can get the Penny Bloom Dispatch, just extra free content from the Penny Bloom umbrella. If you are listening on the Penny Bloom podcast, you can listen on Cinema Surprise. That is available as its own show, and any future seasons of Cinema Surprise will be exclusively available on Cinema Surprise. So you might as well go ahead, head over there, hit the follow, hit the subscribe, start downloading over there, and keep up with us because we have some surprises. We're gonna drop little random shit every once in a while in between seasons. You know, it can be a lot of fun. That's the point. Surprise, motherfucker. That's what we're having fun with. So yeah, you can do all that. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. You can watch on YouTube. We're still under the Penny Bloom Podcast YouTube as of yet. And we'll, if that ever changes, we shall see. But the way to know if it ever changes is by following on Twitter at PennyBloomPod. That is the safest place to get any updates, any news. That is the place I'm on. That is the place you should be. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, especially if you're listening on Cinema Surprise. Those reviews help immensely. That's what makes the show grow. If you look up podcasts, the ones that pop up first are the ones with the most reviews. That is how the search engine works. So we need reviews, and that helps a growing podcast immensely. So yeah. With that, let's go ahead and rate this movie.
Mm-hmm.
How about it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you enjoying The Passion of Joan of Arc?
Say it was a 5 on Letterboxd. but I don't know if I'm quite at a 10 here. I don't. I feel it is a whole different ball game with a silent movie. I don't know. It was my first one, so like I do have that. I don't know. I had that going for it. So I'm trying to like remove all of these first biases and things.
I get that. If it helps you at all, for me, this is not a 10.
Okay.
I do have a silent film that is, for me. So that's one of those things that's like, in terms of enjoyment, I think that, and that's the critical side we can talk about a different day. The other one's a comedy. I'm thinking of Modern Times, directed by Charlie Chaplin, starring Charlie Chaplin. That's a really, really good movie. I strongly recommend it.
Okay.
But this movie on first watch was moving. The second viewing was very moving. And while it does get me to it doesn't get me to cry. I'm astounded by the craft of it, but I feel like there is a deeper resonance to be had in this movie if you are religious.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could really, really help.
Yeah.
And I'm not a particularly religious person. So like that is one of those things where like I do think there is a movie in here for someone who is deeply religious that could be moved to a different level and could find this to be one of their favorite. And this is one of my favorites of all time. It's in that, that range, that 300 range. I don't know where in that range, but it's in the 300 there. So like, yeah, I would still go north of 9. I would still go 9.25, 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, on my list, I put it above. It's at 7, out of 9 currently right now, and that feels really low. But man, I don't know. I've really
covered some good fucking movies.
and it's
so
right.
That's,
It's right below Babylon. Babylon, and I do have Casablanca at 5, which is kind of crazy. But it's definitely below those. But I do have it above Book of Eli for sure. But the only one that gave me pause was Love Lies Bleeding.
Right.
And I was kind of going back and forth on which one I do put above. And man, I don't know. I'm actually kind of leaning towards putting Love Lies Bleeding above. But I don't know. My gut put it right below Babylon.
Yeah, I think it would be at 7 for me as well. So like north of Book of Eli and Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
But
and yeah, I've that is Tron should not be at 3. But it is. I mean, like
no, that's it's your list. It's your favorite.
Yeah, putting it above La Chimera and Casablanca. Like I understand. I know that is crazy.
I get it. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have it at 7 out of 9 as well. A little bit of a different ranking for sure. But
I think it's definitely in the if it's an 8, it's an 8.75 or like an 8.5.
Right.
But like I feel
I'm
like
cool with a 9.
Like a 9
if you're
flat.
cool with a 9.
I feel like that did feel kind of nice.
Okay. Yeah,
so
I'm cool
flat.
with that.
Okay, it's nice. Nice whenever we can agree. I guess here we do have it kind of built into if we have different ones, we can average them out. But
yeah, we've kind of strayed away from that a little bit. We've gone back to being like, yeah, we agree on this, right? Okay, cool.
And maybe it's just easier for the good ones, just the ones that are just
the good ones.
Good
and
just
really
good. But
that's a good fucking movie, you know.
So, critically, again, you have more silent movie in this era. This is my oldest one.
It doesn't take knowing what silent films are to know this is a good fucking movie.
Okay, it felt good. It felt
actually
really good.
This was also my first silent film.
Oh, okay.
It was at one point my first silent film. I did end up watching a couple others after, but when I did initially watch it, it was my first, if I recall correctly. I'll have to look a little, but I'm pretty sure. If not the second, like it's 1 or 2, because I've only watched like 4, maybe 5. So like it's not like I've watched a lot. I can count them in my head. So like, no, it's a damn good movie. By all accounts, I would not hesitate to call it narratively tighter, more consistently well performed, and better looking than a lot of movies we've covered so far. Like I wouldn't hesitate to throw it at maybe nines across the board.
It kind of does feel nice. Let's see. Have we given anyone a 9 flat critically? Not quite. We have
given 8.75.
Babylon an 8.5, Cure 9.5, 8.75 Arrival 9.5, Last for La Chimera. I think that slots in pretty nicely. At a 9. No math needed there. I mean that would just be
that's a 90%.
Which would just put it right below Arrival. So not quite Arrival, which I think I'm there. I mean, I have Arrival.
I am as well.
Arrival's at the top of my
list. The enjoyment I got
yeah.
out of Arrival is a different breed compared to this movie. This movie is, again, I'm awed by the possibility of it. Just like there's a special feel. Yeah, there's a special feeling of watching a movie that existed 95 fucking years ago. You know, like it's not.
And it's dramatized, obviously, to some points, but like the events, the fact that it's based on true events at all is crazy. Like, and that's I love a dramatized history movie. Like I don't know, it's a movie I didn't know I needed or know that I loved, but it is I'm liking it more and more. Just history in general as well. So
movies, dude.
This is I don't know, very very happy with my pick. I've never seen it. Well, I guess I technically watched like the first 10 minutes of it on vacation. But I'm glad that I committed to the full watch. And
I am too. I'm too.
Yeah, glad 90%. That I was able to talk about it too, and not just watch it. So yeah, I like
Passion of Joan of Arc. That was a fun inclusion on this journey, on this list of surprises, and I'm so very excited for next week's surprise. So,
oh yeah, that's right. I picked a decade, didn't I? I don't know.
Did
it switch?
You went. No, it didn't. I had a gut feeling. In fact, I was on a movie on Letterboxd when I text you. Pick between. I gave Joseph a list. I told him the 30s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or aughts. So he had 6 decades to choose from, and I was like, just pick one. You were like, do you want me to just like right now pick one? And I was like, 1 or 2. Like, just limit my options. I've got like 20 movies I'm thinking about right now. If you pick a decade or 2, it helps me like crazy. So you picked the 50s and the 80s. And it just so happened that on Letterboxd, I had a movie from the 50s open. It's where my gut took me actually a few weeks back when I was crafting my long-term list. I was like, I think I want this one eventually. I came back to it. I'm confident in it. It will be another Babylon movie. You get to check another off the list for you.
No way.
And in a similar vein, we're going with the transition from silent to the talkie era. So get your umbrellas and your tap shoes. We are singing the rain.
Oh, I
next
texted
week
before you even said it. I've never even seen it, but oh man, yes, I'm very excited. It is on the list when I was going through. I think maybe we watched a Singing in the Rain in school. This one doesn't feel right. I don't know. I feel like it was newer. I feel like it was not this one. So this one
be kind of ludicrous to show you any other Singing in the Rain in school. I also don't know why we would have watched it in school.
Yeah, what class was this? Why? I mean, it feels like an English class. And choir? Maybe this was middle school choir movie day, actually. Music.
That's possible.
Maybe. Maybe it was that. But this one, it doesn't feel like it was this old. It felt like it was like a newer version. I don't know. I feel like there's probably
a stage production or something that was filmed or something, you know. There's documentaries about it and stuff. But anywho, I'm excited because I've watched it. I love it. I'm excited to officially show it to you if you don't strictly recall it. I adore Gene Kelly. Debbie Reynolds is the mother of Hollywood royalty and Carrie Fisher. So very excited to cover a movie with Debbie Reynolds in it.
Yeah.
And like I said, Gene Kelly is I love them. So
I'm ready. I'm looking at the
yep.
visuals. No way. This was the movie we watched. There's
okay.
there's absolutely
It's a
no
gorgeous
way. This
fucking
looks,
movie. Like it is.
Yeah.
It is a gorgeous,
I feel
gorgeous film.
Wasn't this what he like started to really cry on? Like,
yes, it's the movie he's watching whenever he starts to cry in Babylon.
Okay, that's even better. Let's go. Okay, yeah. I love this little checklist. Thank you for letting me check.
No problem. That wasn't my main motivation, but it was like, oh, that's cool. You get to cross one out as well.
Little cherry on top.
I wanted to get a musical in. I wanted to spread some love to a different decade that we hadn't covered. That was it was like, what era am I picking a musical from is kind of where my head was at. And the 50s, that's ideal. If you're going to go musicals, the 40s and 50s, they've got them in abundance. So, I'm ready to cover Singin' in the Rain next week.
Yeah, that's nice.
So very excited. That'll be my penultimate episode of season 1. But, yeah, with that, let's do an album of the week. Let's do an album of the week. What'd you have for me this week?
Okay, so last week I was very older electronic type music, and I'm sticking with the electronic vein. I couldn't quite leave it, but I'm more modern now. I went back to Dan's collection, my sister's roommate, and he had a favorite, a large, many albums from Flying Lotus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know. I wouldn't know if I've never heard of them before. But it seemed like one of his favorites. Up on Top as well. Like not just with the collection. That I don't know. These were apart. So I started with their 2008 album Los Angeles. But I've listened to a lot more of them just on shuffle with that playlist. They come up a lot. And that's why I after this last electronic album, I'm like, oh, I wanna see some modern stuff, and Dan usually has some good taste. And yeah, I do like this is kind of in that perfect homework playlist for me. Like this will get me locked the fuck in if I need to do something and really lock in mentally for stuff. But it's kind of what I use electronic music for, or if I'm just doing chores, doing like laundry, folding laundry and stuff like that. This is it's got that little bit of cocaine,
it's got a zest.
For lack of a better word. It's got a little bit of coke in it. Electronic music it feels like it. So got the energy there. I should have just gone there.
No, it's got cocaine in it.
Yeah, it's got coke. It's got all the coke in there, but yeah,
all of it.
So Los Angeles by Flying Lotus is where I'm going. So
love that. I'm going even more modern, and so modern that it was earlier this year. Okay. 2024 album. I'm going with Dark Times by Vince Staples. Vince Staples is one of the most underappreciated rappers alive. Super funny guy, but he obviously has an ability to get extremely heartfelt and extremely personal. And I think he flies under the radar in the conversation of who are the best rappers working. He is, I'd put him next to J. Cole and kind of question which one is better,
That's high praise.
In fact, I don't even know if I question it that much. That's how good I think Vince Staples is.
Okay. That's
just
royalty.
A talented pen, a talented rapper, talented artist. Just a really, really... Damn, there's some good songs on there. He's from Long Beach, so there's a song on this album where he really channels Snoop Dogg, who's also from Long Beach, and it's just like comparing it to when Drake did the AI Snoop Dogg thing.
Eesh.
It's like wow, look at what other people are actually capable of, who actually are talented.
Yeah,
and
difference between inspiration and theft,
appropriation.
So. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's, you say he flies under the radar. It's sad to say. Yeah. I've never heard of him until now. Maybe I've heard some of his. Maybe
you've certainly heard Vince Staples songs,
but I don't know him by name, which is really sad.
Yeah. I actually saw him live a couple of years. 6 years ago. 7 years ago. No, 6 years ago.
We don't have to think about it.
Yeah. I'm like senior year of high school. I think it was. Yeah. It was second semester, so it was 2018. It was 6 years ago. He opened for Tyler, the Creator, off the coattails of his album 740, Big Fish Theory.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the song, Boy, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boy, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boy, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boy, yeah. It's, it's called Yeah. It features Kendrick Lamar.
Ooh.
It's a really good one.
Huh.
That's Big Fish Theory, though. That's a great album. 745, great song. But yeah, Dark Times, that's my album of the week. Brand new. Well, relatively brand new. Not.
Yeah. May 24th. That's, that's.
As of recording, brand new. That's why I'm like.
Still pretty fresh, though.
Pretty fresh. A few months back.
Compared to The Passion of Joan of Arc. Pretty dang new.
96 years separating them. It's not too shabby. But, yeah. Then, with that, we will conclude this episode of the Penny. Of Cinema Surprise. Sorry, guys. Habits. Old habits die hard. Of Cinema Surprise, presented by the Penny Bloom Podcast. With that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And how do you tell a good angel from a bad angel?